Chapter 3. Brighton, June 1863. It's midsummer and Charlie is home on leave after his first 6 months on the training ship St. Vincent, anchored in Portsmouth Harbour. The boy sailors with a home to go to are allowed 3 weeks' leave. The orphan boys, and there are many, must remain on board ship. So, this fine Saturday morning, young Ellis Banfield, Charlie's childhood friend, hurries along the seafront and cuts up into the back streets of Brighton's Kemp Town. He's got away early. In truth, he should be mixing plaster with his father, but instead he slips along the shadowy back Twittons, joining the narrow streets, between high walls of pebble and flint, and he raps on the backyard door. Hearing his friend, Charlie lifts the latch. Ellis, a head taller, ducks under the door frame, and they stare at each other. It's been 6 months. "You got a holy cross tattooed on your arm," Ellis says. "You weren't religious." "Let's go down to the beach," Charlie replies, and takes a cloth for each of them from his Uncle Henry's back kitchen. Charlie doesn't like to show it, but the salt water stings not just the freshly pinned tattoo, but the still raw welts across his back. In a few minutes they're floating on the low surf, chucking water, diving to touch the sandy floor, bringing up a shell or a handful of seaweed. And back on the beach, one tosses a pebble in the air, the other aims a stone as it arches back into the sea. One connects with a crack. It's Charlie's. He's had small arms practice. "We all get the rope's end," says Charlie, anticipating his friend's question. "Instructors, they don't mind handing it out right or left if you're in the way. But there ain't much I can't do already." And his friend, on his back, eyes closed to the low sun, says, "Like what then?" "Well, everything and nothing. It's all a routine." And he realises he's speaking with a sudden pride. They are bawling you out at 5:30 in the morning, rouse out, show a leg and all that, hammocks up and a kick up the arse if you don't shift. The worst bit is when it's your turn to holy stone the decks before we get breakfast. That's every other day. But then it's sails drills. That starts at 8. They set up a yard arm across the deck. You see, it's not high up, so if you fall off, you don't hurt yourself. We're shown how to get the sails in and out, loose and furl, overhaul, all that. And after that, they let us go aloft. Everyone wants to get right up to the cross trees. I ain't an upper yard boy yet, but I will be. And behind his eyes, he remembers the first initiation, a thump on the back of his head from one of the officers' sons. And he knew if he didn't return the compliment, it would serve him no good. So he dead-legged the lad, driving his knee into his thigh. Then the chaplain takes assembly and we say our prayers, all the new boys. Then it's more seamanship like swimming, that's the easy bit, boat pulling, done that, knots and splices, knew them already. Some of it's hard though, compass stuff and bearings. He yawns and drifts on. Then there's another assembly at 1 o'clock in front of the captain this time, and then we get our dinner. After that, clothes washing, tea at 5, then cleaning the mess and washing the upper decks for the officers, bit of supper, free time, that's my day. "When do you go sailing then?" Ellis wants to know. And Charlie rolls over, sits on his friend's chest and pins both of Ellis's wrists against the stones and looks him in the face. "When I'm good and ready, mate," he says. "I got a pal, Thomas Holman. He says the Navy's his wildest dream. It's all right." He stands astride his friend, his feet splayed. "I was up aloft there one day, you see, and one of the boys was standing on the yard, that's a spar to you, across the other side of the mast, and he was shivering and holding on to the rigging like grim death. His eyes were standing out of his head. Boy next to me, Patrick, got hold of him to steady him like. Most of the other boys had gone down by then, and he says to the boy, follow me, I'll show you the way. And we got him to stop shaking, and he stood a while by the lubber's hole, and when he's calmed himself down, Patrick led him down. And the boy shook our hands. He said it was his first time he'd been right up aloft. Charlie stretches his arms above his head, loosens his shoulders, and turns to warm his back in the low sun. How many of you? Asks Ellis. 100, maybe more. Why, are you thinking of it? No chance. We get a Thursday afternoon ashore, entertainments, bit of singing on a Saturday evening, best dinner of the week's on Sundays, and a run ashore? No. Ellis realises he hasn't had plaster dust out of his hair all week, and they are both swimming out again now, the undulating sea parting sweetly as they cleave away. They're far out now. They turn and float on their backs, resting, and look back towards the beach and the town behind. There's the dark figure of a man standing by their pile of clothes. Ellis should be mixing plaster with his father.